Hello, my name is Dave Warren. I'm the clinical herbalist here at the New Mexico Herbal Clinic. We're located in beautiful Taos, New Mexico. So we want to talk today a bit about COVID-19 and herbs. There has been a lot of social media talk about the use of herbs in the fight against COVID-19. So before we begin, we really need to set the record straight on this. There is no herbal cure at this time for the COVID-19 virus. COVID-19, as we all know now, is a respiratory infection virus. It starts off in the throat area, works its way down into the lungs, where it replicates and, of course, creates some severe problems for some people, although the vast majority of people seem to be asymptomatic, which means they show none of the symptoms. Now, we do know that businesses across the nation, and in some other countries also, are doing pre-COVID-19 scans before people are allowed in. Those scans are a good check measure, but if you're asymptomatic, it really doesn't help. It's why these things are so important. You could be asymptomatic, not even know it. Wearing one of these greatly reduces the potential of you impacting somebody else. Now, let's go back to March of this year. In Madagascar, some of the herbalists there claimed they had found not only a prevention for COVID-19 infection, but a cure. And it was an herbal one. Obviously, there were no studies. But it didn't stop many of the African countries from ordering this particular extract from an herb to treat their population. We've also heard around the same time from some people in the United States about another herbal extract, quinine in this case, that would fight the virus. We still hear those things today when it comes to the quinine-based treatment. The problem is clinical tests show it simply doesn't work. In fact, that particular drug, which is derived from quinine, was developed to fight malaria. Now, the problem is that it no longer fights malaria. Malaria has built up a resistance to that quinine-based drug. So for all practical purposes, that's a herb that just simply doesn't work even for malaria at this point. In the United States, we're going through several trials and tests of what we call allopathic medicine or pharmaceutical medicine in search of a vaccine to help eradicate COVID-19. And we're probably still at least a year away from having that proven, and if proven, administered. Keep in mind there are 360 million people in the United States. We're not going to vaccinate everybody overnight. So let's get back to herbs, and let's get back to this African herb. Actually, it's not an African herb, but let's get back to this herb that Madagascar said would work. The World Health Organization, numerous doctors across the world simply dismissed the idea. But some of them didn't. And those that didn't began testing. And what they found was that this particular herb really did have some potential. And I want to caution you, I'm saying some potential because we're still not sure. We're in the process of testing. We're in the process now with human trials for this herbal extract. So let's talk about what it is, okay? What is this herbal extract that several countries, including the United States, are now looking at and saying, maybe, just maybe, Madagascar was right. So we'll start with Germany. So German scientists picked up on this herb shortly after Madagascar began to promote it as a drug for COVID-19. In fact, the Madagascar studies claimed that it not only was effective against symptoms, but also against some of the bad, for lack of a better word, issues that COVID-19 can cause, including the cytokine storms, blood clotting issues, and the damage to the epithelial cells. So what is this herb that all of a sudden is starting to get some traction? Well, it's sweet wormwood. Now, sweet wormwood is different than regular wormwood. They're both the same species, but sweet wormwood is a subspecies of regular wormwood, or its Latin name, Artemisia annua. So, the problem is that we've been flooded with all of these kind of miracle cures for COVID-19, and we have to look at any such cure with some skepticism. So sweet wormwood is being studied by scientists in Germany who have found that the SARS COVID-2, which is a similar virus but different in the way it replicates and so forth, actually can be combated with this extract from sweet wormwood. What they have done is looked at it in vitro tests and in some small animal tests, and by small animals I'm talking mice, rats, and so forth, on COVID-19. And it does show some promise. We don't have all the data in yet, so we're very cautious about it, but it does show some promise. In fact, it shows so much promise that in the United States, the University of Kentucky has now been granted the right to use the extract from sweet wormwood on humans. Now that's important, and why is it important? Well, we have a lot of Artemisia annua, sweet wormwood. It's plentiful. It's cheap. In fact, it would be about 1/10 the cost of any pharmaceutical drug that we came up with. And it's easy to extract. How does one extract the constituents of sweet wormwood? Well, we do it the same way we do with any herb, and that's usually through a tincture process. And a tincture process can be made for both adults and children. For adults, we always recommend an alcohol-based tincture, and for children, never alcohol, always a vegetable glycerin extract. So the University of Kentucky began looking at sweet wormwood about 2 months ago. And their tests showed results extremely similar to the German tests. But in order to go above the German tests, they needed to be able to test this on humans. And as I said, they have recently been given the right to start human trials. Now, there is some talk about whether we should add something to the sweet wormwood extracts. And in some cases, in Germany, for example, they are looking at ashwagandha, another herb, as a combination extract. So you would have sweet wormwood and you would have ashwagandha, all put together in one extract. Now here's a problem with doing any extraction of herbs. We need to be specific on what we're trying to extract. And we need to be specific in how much, if we're doing a combination, of sweet wormwood and ashwagandha we actually have. And that's why all these trials go on. The good news about sweet wormwood, it's completely non-toxic, so there's no high risk. And I should tell you one other thing about sweet wormwood. The effectiveness of an Artemisia annua extract is exceptionally strong against malaria. In fact, it's what replaced quinine. So, we have the hope, and only the hope at this point, of an herbal remedy for COVID-19. Will it be the right answer? We don't know. All of us are hopeful, but we simply don't know. And we would caution anybody from starting to take sweet wormwood simply because it might work. That could give you a false sense of security, and quite honestly, COVID-19 is a virus you don't want to play around with. You don't want to take chances. As always, I've enjoyed being with you and sharing some of this information, and I hope you've got something out of it too. If you ever need any assistance with herbal medicine, or if you'd just like to stop in and say hi, we're up in Taos, New Mexico, and we always welcome you. And by the way, during COVID-19, we can offer virtual consultations worldwide. So please visit our website, take a look at what we do. Give us a call or make a virtual appointment. Until then, please stay safe. And if you want to visit us online, it's pretty simple. It's nmherbalclinic.com. Until next time, this is Dave Warren. Stay safe, stay happy.